My dear brothers and sisters, we are having a Bible study on the book of Tobit, and we have reached chapter 3, verse 1 onwards. Let us read. Yesterday we came to know that Sarah, the wife of Tobit, criticized him for accusing her falsely, saying that you have stolen that God. And then suddenly she criticized him, criticized the husband, saying, "Where are your acts of charity?" So after this, he was so humiliated. He felt so grieved. And then with much grief and anguish of heart, I wept, and with groaning began to pray. So he felt left alone even by his wife. Therefore, he was grieving inside so much, because when others are all criticized him, he didn't feel so grieved. But when his own wife criticized him and asked this question, it was so much for him, difficult for him to accept. And therefore he grieved so badly, and he cried, wept bitterly, and groaning began to pray. Let's read what was the prayer of Tobit. "You are righteous, O Lord, and all your deeds are just. All your ways are mercy and truth. You judge the world." It's so important for us to see the Tobit's attitude. He always obeyed the law of God. He always obeyed the law of Moses. He was so righteous, holy, obedient, submissive to the command of God. But what he got in return was negatives, tragedies, disaster, poverty, insult, humiliation, and all these things. Even his own wife criticized him, saying, "All your charities are useless." But now when he is praying in front of God, he said, "Lord, you are righteous. All your deeds are just. Whatever you do, you never make mistake. All your ways are mercy and truth. You judge the world." So he says, you never make mistake. So for him, even the negative things that are happening in his family, in his house, in his personal life, he says God permitted, and God will never do mistake. And he knew there is a purpose behind it. But at the same time, it is very difficult for him to go through this. Let's read verse 3. "And now, O Lord, remember me and look favorably upon me. Do not punish me for my sins." Because it was a common understanding among the Jewish people that if someone is going through some kind of tragedy, that means God is a sinner. God is punishing him. So that was the idea normally people believed. But at the same time, in the Bible, we know Job was going through tragedies without any sin. Now Tobit is also going through tragedies without any sin. So it's also, the Bible also wants to give you a message that it can happen that people can go through tragedies without any sin as such. So here, though he is praying like this passage itself is giving us the real message that it is not necessary that one should have commit sin in order to go through the tragedies. "Do not punish me for my sins and for my unwitting offenses and those that my ancestors committed before you. They sinned against you." Now he is not only asking forgiveness for himself, but also he is asking forgiveness on behalf of his ancestors, his family tree. Because Jewish people also believed that the family tree sins can affect the generations after generations. Therefore, he is begging forgiveness on behalf of his ancestry, his family tree, so that he may be delivered from these present calamities. "They sinned against you." And we read verse 4. "And disobeyed your commandments. So you gave us over to plunder, exile, death." So now he's talking on behalf of the tribe of Naphtali. And he says, because of their sins and disobedience, because they worshipped the two golden calves at Bethel and Dan. So as a result, the Assyrians came and plundered, and we all have gone for exile and facing death every day. So that is what he's talking about. To become the talk, the byword, and an object of reproach among all the nations among whom you have dispersed us. Now we have become a laughing stock in front of all the other nations. We are humiliated. Let's read verse 5. And now your many judgments are true in exacting penalty from me for my sins. He says, whatever you are doing today is right. You are true. You are correct. We have not kept your commandments and have not walked in accordance with truth before you. Now he is praying on behalf of whole community. He is not praying on behalf of himself. So the prayer of Tobit is also beautiful that he was not praying for himself. He was praying for the whole society, the whole family tree, the whole tribe. So he is praying like this. Verse 6, we read like this. So now deal with me as you will. So he prayed for the whole family and community, but when he says to speak about him, deal with me as you will. Command my spirit to be taken from me. He says it's too much for me to bear, so it's better you take my spirit. He says it's better to kill me. You know, in the Bible, many times, many prophets prayed like this. When extreme pain and tragedies they went through, they even cried and said, Lord, it's better you kill me. Let's read, there's some passages in the Bible. Numbers chapter 11 verse 15. Numbers chapter 11 verse 15 we read. Moses said, if this is the way you are going to treat me, put me to death at once. See, Moses is crying and asking God to, Lord, if this is the way you are going to treat me, it's better to kill me. He said. And then also Jonah chapter 4 verse 8. We read Jonah chapter 4 verse 8. We read like this. When Jonah was going through a crisis, when the sun rose, God prepared a sultry east wind and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah so that he was faint and asked that he might die. He said, it is better for me to die than to live. He is thinking of committing suicide just because one plant died. So that is his nature. That is another character. Let's read Elijah, 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 4. 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 4. But he himself Elijah went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a solitary broom tree. He asked that he might die. It's enough, O Lord. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my ancestors. So these are some examples. In extreme sorrow, people say, it's better I die. It is quite natural. Even the prophets had this experience. But don't take it seriously. So, just, the spontaneous reaction may come. It's better I die. So, but at the same time, that shows, don't tell your neighbors and friends and police department, say, I'm going to die. But instead, you tell Jesus. God, tell your heart, open your heart in front of Jesus. God will do the answer. Let's read Tobit. Let's go back to Tobit chapter 3. And then, so now deal with me as you will. Command my spirit to be taken off from me, so that I may be released from the face of the earth and become dust. For it is better for me to die than to live, because I have had to listen to undeserved insults. See, he's speaking about what he heard from his wife. I have had to listen undeserved insults. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
So this is only because that insult he cried like this. And exactly when he was praying like this, there is somebody else also was praying in some other place. Exactly when he was praying like this, the same kind of situation, the same kind of prayer is done by another person, another place. We read verse 7, the next word. Next one. Chapter 3 verse 7. On the same day at Ekbatana, in Media is almost the northwest of Iran today. It also happened that Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was reproached by one of her father's maids. See, here Tobit was insulted by wife. There Raguel was insulted by one of the servants. And then what happened? Verse 8. For the reason why she was insulted was, she had been married to 7 husbands, and the wicked demon Asmodeus means spirit of anger. The god of anger or spirit of anger, Asmodeus. So there was a wicked demon in her, and this demon used to come through her mouth and kill. So most probably the spirit of anger, she herself must have killed. This is what the servant said. It is you, out of anger, you are killing. And that is why they made fun of her. They insulted her. But she didn't know, the Sarah never knew that she was the one who was killing her husbands. And it says, the wicked demon Asmodeus. Asmodeus means, the meaning is spirit of anger, had killed each of them before they had been with her, as is customary for wives. So the maid said to her, you are the one who kills your husbands. See, you have already been married to 7 husbands and have not borne the name of a single one of them. So nobody could stay with you. Everyone, 7 of them. 7 means a perfect number. That means all the husbands are perfectly killed. Verse 9, we read, why do you beat us? Why do you beat us? Because your husbands are dead. Go with them. May we never see a son or daughter of yours. So they were cursing her. They were so upset with her. Maybe because Sarah started beating her and or something. That is why they said like this. Let's read verse 10. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
On that day she was grieved in spirit and wept, just like Tobit. Even Tobit was insulted by wife, and here Sarah is insulted by her own friends, her own maids. Tobit was left alone because all the tragedy is happening. Sarah is also left alone because all the husbands are dying. On that day she was grieved in spirit and wept. When she had gone up to her father's upper room, she intended to hang herself. See, Tobit also wanted to die. Here, she also wanted to die. But she thought it over and said, never shall they reproach my father, saying to him, you had only one beloved daughter, but she hanged herself because of her distress. So she didn't want to insult her father. Only because of that, she didn't commit suicide. Otherwise, she wanted to die. Just like Tobit also wanted to die. When he was praying, at exactly the same time, this lady also praying. My dear brothers and sisters, how the Lord is connecting them. Now the Lord is going to connecting these 2 families. Praise the Lord.
Praise the
and
Lord.
I shall bring my father in his old age down in sorrow to Hades. It is better for me not to hang myself, but to pray the Lord that I may die and not listen to these reproaches anymore.